Congress returns to Washington next week, facing a deadline at the end of the month to approve a new spending bill or risk another government shutdown. Joining us now, Sarah Bianchi, Evercore Public Policy Chief Strategist. Sarah, great to see you. Thank you for joining us. So, are you fairly confident we're not going to have to go through another wrangle over a government shutdown, or is that still a risk?
It's certainly a risk, but I do think neither party really wants to relive this. I think the Democrats feel that they got what they needed out of the first shutdown. They have focused the country on healthcare costs and other affordability issues, and they don't want to risk getting blamed. They have a process in place to have a vote on the healthcare. And the Republicans, surely in an election year with their president having a bit more challenges than he had earlier in 25, certainly aren't looking for bumps. So it's always a risk because they do need 60 votes in the Senate, but right now it's not our base case prediction.
Yeah, you mentioned affordability there, and that was a big issue in the New York mayoral race. We just saw Mamdani inaugurated yesterday, taking office, using affordability as the big theme. What do you think the affordability issue, how will that play into White House policy? Will President Trump try to do anything? Will Congress do anything? Can they do anything to address affordability?
Well, affordability is certainly a hard thing to address. It's really hard to get prices to come down, and that's really what a lot of people are hoping for. I think the president will try things in the space of healthcare, his own version, drug pricing, maybe some housing. We've already seen some slight relief on tariffs in places that are salient to households. I think the big question for the markets is whether he's going to pivot to an additional stimulus and whether Congress really goes along with that. That would be the most impactful for consumers. It would also, of course, risk inflation and other things. So that's really the big one that we're watching. But, President Biden went through frustrations on this topic as well. We'll have to see if this president can make things feel any better.
You said additional stimulus. What could they possibly do? What are some ideas that you've heard there? I mean, are they just talking about further tax cuts or actual money in people's pockets? I know there's been this idea floating around of a tariff check of $2,000. That got quickly shut down. What are some ideas out there?
Well, they do have some additional stimulus coming in from the big, beautiful bill, and that should be helpful into the spring. But I do think the question of whether he tries to raise this tariff rebate, whether that gets any traction, any kind of real check to people, that's the thing that, would make the most difference in the economy and for the markets. For consumers, if he can just make it seem like he's on their side fighting for them in healthcare and food and other issues, maybe that's enough. But it's really not going to move the needle in terms of overall cost.
Sarah, I wonder if you think that the affordability debate and the impulse among Congress and the president to seem responsive to it is going to run up against the AI story when you talk about utility bills, the data center use of resources. It's obviously become very much in the air, and I wonder if at a national level that's going to lead to any initiatives.
Oh, I think that's a great point. It definitely showed up in the November 2025 elections. So if nothing else, the governors of New Jersey and Virginia have to address it. But yeah, we are starting to see it on the national level. And we're starting to see some policies, again, that are pretty dramatic. Now, right now, they're coming from the likes of Bernie Sanders and others saying we should have a moratorium on data centers. I'm not saying that's going to be the mainstream policy, but Steve Bannon and others have made the point that we ignore that even the MAGA movement, Trump ignores some of these AI concerns at his peril. So I do think it's something we expect to come to the fore more this year in the policy debate, and certainly as we get into the presidential primaries.